It's official then. World Rugby have confirmed the law changes which are going to be coming in on July the 1st of this year. And on the basis of those law changes, the only conclusion that I can possibly come to is that World Rugby hate scrums. They really hate scrums. Or is it that they hate the fact South Africa have won the last 2 Rugby World Cups? Maybe a bit of that as well. Deary me. I'm really annoyed about this one. And I'm going to make the case on this video that World Rugby are completely wrong to have made this law change, and that actually it might have the exact opposite consequence of what they're saying they want to achieve, and it may negatively, not positively, affect the growth of the sport. That's what I believe. Tell me what you think in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up. That really helps me reach other scrum-loving rugby fans that don't even know I exist. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers, and if I haven't already, I'd love it if I would earn your subscription. I feel a little bit like that. Do you remember the fella that was like, leave Brittany alone all those years ago? I feel like him, but leave scrums alone. And I'll say to Bill Beaumont and the rest of World Rugby, please leave scrums alone. And maybe the sport for you is rugby league, because they've got really depowered scrums. It sounds like it's exactly what you want. Why don't you go and look after that sport? I love them. I love scrums. I think they're such an important part of the game. No one was complaining about scrums during that World Cup quarter-final, South Africa v France, the drama there. No one was complaining about scrums during the World Cup semi-final between England and South Africa. No one complains about big scrums on the 5-metre line in tense parts of the game. Yes, you can speed up the resets of scrums, but scrums themselves are amazing drama and absolutely fundamental to rugby. Don't mess about with them. You don't know what can of worms you're opening when you do that. I'd also say one of the things that gets overlooked with scrums is that it means it's a rare time now, because defences are so good. You normally have defences that are really organised, 15 men on their feet spread across the pitch. Scrums are one of those rare occasions where you have 16 guys out of the game, all tied together, creating loads of space for other people. And some of the best attacking rugby is the stuff we see from scrums. So be careful what you wish for, because you may just end up with really organised defensive lines a bit more as a result. And also, I love the innovation of moments like this, which we're never ever going to see again. Damien Willems are calling for a scrum from a mark against France in the quarter-final. That will not be allowed to happen and will never happen again. And more's the pity as far as I'm concerned. Before I go into the actual deep dive on that law a bit more, I thought I'd just zoom out a little bit. And this is an opinion from Rob Baxter, Director of Rugby at Exeter Chiefs, one of my favourite rugby minds in the world. I love the way he thinks and the way he talks. And one of the things he said a couple of months ago when these laws were being rumoured is he said it's madness. I'm quoting Rob Baxter here. He said, we need to stop changing the laws. We're trying to grow the game, and there's no sport in the world that tries to grow by confusing new supporters every 12 months. The game was fine 3 or 4 years ago, and we didn't need to change it then. And here's the most important line, and I think he's absolutely on the money, hit the nail on the head when he says this. 90% of the law changes are only brought in to redo the things that have been created by other law changes. So true. The law of unintended consequences. World Rugby try and sort one thing out, they end up causing 3 other problems they hadn't thought of, and they need to bring in new laws to solve that. As a result, the law book keeps getting bigger and bigger, more and more complicated, harder to coach, harder to play, harder to watch. And it's not having a good effect. Can we just leave it alone for a little bit? That's what Rob Baxter said. That's what I completely agree with. If you disagree, again, in the comments down below, let's chat there. Now, there are 3 laws which have been brought in from July the 1st. First one is the outlaw of the croc roll. Totally fine with this one. In a way, the law didn't need to come in because players have stopped doing it. Because it's such a dangerous act and it's caused some really horrible injuries, like one to Jack Willis. Players have just stopped doing it. They've sort of self-policed it out of the game. But fine, it's now there in the rule book. Good. The DuPont law, or so-called DuPont law, has come in. No longer you're not going to be able to loiter upfield as a defender. Kick come over you, someone catch it, and then when they move 5 metres, you're onside and can tackle them. You're now going to have to be played onside. I mean, that's just closing a loophole that got opened by some very smart thinking players, not least Antoine Dupont, because that law's been on the books for years and no one has spotted that is something that you could do until relatively recently. So fine with that. The change in the law on the scrums, however, I completely disagree with. Let's just take a parallel universe for a second. Let's imagine we are at the World Cup semi-final, 77 minutes on the clock. There's a scrum. South Africa recognise this is their opportunity, points down to potentially win the game, and England get together and go, right, lads, give away a free kick. What? Early engage, give away a free kick. Oh, right, yeah. Give away a free kick. Free kick, South Africa. They have to tap or kick, and they cannot opt for another scrum. Can we go for another scrum, sir? No, you can't. It's a free kick. That could have happened. And that is what will happen in matches as well. Rest assured, Andy Farrell and his Ireland teammates will know going to South Africa, they won't be planning to be beaten at scrum time. They'll go there first and foremost trying to match them. But secondly, they'll know if South Africa do get on top, we can just give away a free kick. We've got one get out of jail free card we can use in a game. How ridiculous is that? Now, World Rugby have come out and said, oh, it's okay because if you do the same offence twice in a row, then that becomes a full penalty, not a free kick. Right, but you're still giving every team one get out of jail free card, aren't you? I don't get it. And also, and to Rob Baxter's point about making it more confusing for new fans, how ridiculous is that? Hold on a minute. Why is he giving a penalty for early engagement? A minute ago it was a free kick for early engagement in the scrum. Well, I don't understand. Oh yeah, that was the first one. The second one's different. World Rugby just make things more complicated. And why? To try and, I don't know what they're trying to speed up the game, but that's the elite level of the sport. Let me take you back to grassroots and tell you why this is such a bad call. I coach my son's rugby team, have done for years, Broughton Park. They recently won, last couple of Sundays ago, they won the Lancashire Cup, one of the biggest counties in England, fantastic quality. So that, they've made some amazing memories together winning that tournament. But the thing I love most about coaching this team isn't that they won the trophy, it's that there's a bunch of lads, from all different backgrounds. You've got inner city lads from Manchester, lads from the suburbs and all the rest of it, and they all come together as a rugby team. All shapes and sizes. And isn't that one of the things we always say about rugby? Rugby's a game for all shapes and sizes. No matter what type of body you've got, no matter what your skill set and attributes, there's a place for you on a rugby field. And that is true because of the scrum. This group of people, there is no other sport, this bunch of lads, and this goes for every team across the world at every level. There is no other sport where this group of people play together on the same team. That is special, and World Rugby are messing about with that. It's one of the things which is most fundamental, most important and most precious about our sport. And you start picking away at this, and you are picking away at the fabric of what makes rugby so special and what makes it a game for all shapes and sizes for everybody. Everyone has a role on a pitch. Like, it's the same grassroots level. My son's team, the World Cup winners, absolute freaks of nature. RG Sneeman and Eben Etzebeth on the same team with that's a mascot who's just wandered on the pitch. Oh no, it is Faf de Klerk. That's what makes rugby special. Don't mess about with it, and World Rugby are, because they're trying to get fewer scrums in a match. I understand trying to speed up the scrums that they do have. Maybe focus on that. Don't eradicate scrums when they are legitimate options that teams can go for. And I've already talked about this one. And again, I mentioned Chasing the Sun 2. That episode 4 of Chasing the Sun 2 is like a love letter to the scrum. And you see how much work and effort went into this. Every national team can put the same work and effort into it that South Africa did. It isn't a fluke that they ended up winning that penalty to win in the semi-final, getting that penalty from the scrum that they called from the mark to then win the quarter-final. It's not a fluke. Georgia are another team that take their scrummaging incredibly seriously, and they won't be impressed by this law. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand what World Rugby are trying to achieve with this one. And again, as I've already talked about, one of the best and most important parts about scrums, apart from it making the game for all shapes and sizes, is you tie in 16 men who then aren't on their feet in a defensive line, and you create space for other people. Be careful what you wish for, because when defences get on top, what happens? Loads of box kicking. We've seen this. I remember, go back 10 years, everyone was moaning constantly about box kicks. And there were lots of people saying that they should be banned and got rid of. But if you just leave the sport alone to sort itself out, really cool things happen. The coaches and the players work it out. And what have we seen the last couple of years? Amazing attacking kicking. It was one of the features of the Rugby World Cup. This no-look kick from Marnie Lebok, one of the best moments. But George Ford against Japan, we've Richie Mwunga, Matthew Jalabert, Fly halves now have this in their armoury, these crossfield kicks, trying to bend and move defences out of shape and exploit the space where it exists. If you just leave the sport alone, cool things happen and players and coaches work it out. They don't need World Rugby tinkering with it all of the time. And I just went back about 10 years with this one because I remember people used to get really annoyed in the way that some people get annoyed about scrums or about box kicks. People used to get really annoyed about driving mauls. There was a period where hookers were scoring driving mauls for fun. And I remember thinking then, and I still think now, you can always stop a maul. It's not impossible to stop. But what you've got to do is, to stop a maul, you've got to put enough bodies into it defensively. And the consequence of that is, and this is why teams weren't doing it, you were leaving loads of space elsewhere. So I'd make the argument on just and jump into mauls for a second. You get the game you want if you power up mauls rather than try and depower and de-incentivize mauls. Because if a team has a really good maul, the defence has to put loads more bodies in, and then there's space elsewhere. Choices and consequences. And again, that all comes back to the scrum. I don't know what World Rugby think they're trying to solve, and I think they could potentially do the exact opposite of what they're trying to solve. That's what I think. Do you agree with the law change? Do you think it could have the effect that they want it to have, or the negative? Do you think this has got anything to do with South Africa winning 2 Rugby World Cups? Your thoughts in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.